A group of North Carolina churches is suing the Department of Homeland Security over a new policy that allows immigration enforcement in churches and in schools.
President Trump's directive throws out policies that previously considered schools and churches protected places.
Yeah, the DOJ argues it's protecting places of worship in schools by not allowing undocumented criminals from seeking refuge in those places. The North Carolina Council of Churches is among more than 24 religious groups suing over the change. The federal lawsuit claims a new policy interferes with religious activities.
God asks us to care for the vulnerable, but the vulnerable are afraid to come and receive the care that people are willing to offer. Then again, it's an inability to live into the claims of the gospel. I hope that our communities can understand that real people are suffering right now.
Two other North Carolina religious organizations are also part of this lawsuit. No word yet on when a judge may take this issue up.
All right, so let's go ahead and bring in our chief legal analyst, Khalif Rhodes. So these churches, of course, arguing that this is interfering with their ability to do what they are meant to do. Do they have legs to stand on here with this suit?
I don't think so, and I hate to say that, but I just don't think so. I think we have a couple different baskets where you're talking about the Trump administration rolling back the memorandum of not going into these safe places, these sanctuary places like schools, like churches, like, places where you can go. And before, the Biden administration was saying you'll be hands off. At one point, the Trump administration, in his previous administration, was telling folks to use your good judgment. Now they're just saying go in there, it doesn't matter. I think in terms of those locations like churches, I don't think the case law is there to support the protections that the churches are asking for. But I do think in the cases of schools, I think there are greater protections in schools because the Constitution requires that you give an education to every child. It doesn't make a distinction between a citizen. So if there's a child there and they're attempting to be educated and you're coming in there and taking them from that educational setting, I think any school that brings a claim has a valid argument. And I think the courts can point to any precedent that shows, you know what, we have to stand behind these schools. I think in the churches, I don't think the case law, the precedent, the history is there to support that. And I think any challenge, I don't know what would stop them from saying we've decided to change our policy, because they're not saying we've decided to change the law. We haven't decided to change the Constitution. We've decided an internal policy that we were using for the last 10 to 15 years. Now we're not going to do anymore.
Khalif, my mind goes to the doctors that immediately came out when everything was put out in terms of abortion, saying, my duties as a doctor, I have to provide aid. These religious leaders are saying, it's my duty to follow and provide, a safe haven to everybody. But because this isn't asking them to do anything, is that kind of the loophole there? Where they're not asking these religious leaders to turn anybody over. They're saying this is no longer a safe haven.
I think the major difference between the two analogies you have, one with the doctors, they're saying you're asking me to disregard my ethical obligations. I have a duty to do no harm. I have a duty to save this patient that's in front of me. And if I can't even give them the advice, the medical advice to go to another state to get an abortion, or give you a pamphlet to tell you how you can work around those things, or prescribe you medication, those are the things where they're saying, okay, you're violating and you're forcing me to not do the things that I'm required to do, and you're putting my job at odds with the law. I think in this case, while I understand and appreciate the church's stance that this is a place for folks to come and feel protected, I don't think there's any statutory or constitutional protection that stops these agencies, specifically ICE, from going in there and grabbing these individuals. And I would be hard pressed to see anything like that. Now, I've been scouring, looking since these cases have come up. Again, we're looking at, Jason, we've talked about this a number of times. It's like everything's being thrown at you at one time. But in my research, I haven't found anything that would protect them right now. And I'd be anxious to see what they would present to the court.
And maybe we're splitting hairs here, but some of the language that the DOJ is saying is that we're trying to protect, if we're talking churches here, from not saying that undocumented immigrants can't come into a church and claim sanctuary, if you will. It's the specific undocumented criminals. And so is that splitting a hair too much, saying that's where we feel like maybe they shouldn't be there in the first place if you're on the criminal side, and we should be able, if we're ICE, we should be able to come in and have these missions, if you will.
I would agree with that to a point. The issue with that is that what you read at these reports is that they're not doing that. They're just coming in there looking for anyone that looks like they're from another country. The reports from the individuals that are talking about following these claims and are attempting to find different protections are saying that, look, they've done mass raids, specifically in New York and places like that in Chicago, what they've called these sanctuary cities, and they're going to churches specifically where there's a heavy population of folks that are from Latin America American countries, and they're saying we're going to get anybody in there. And now if you happen to get someone that has a charge, then okay, then we're successful. But if they're doing these mass sweeps, it's not really strategic. It's just they fit the description and we're going after them, which opens up another can of worms. Now, if you're doing things like that, I think that could be problematic. But I think if you're saying the church affords me some additional protections to stop them from coming in, I just don't think it's there.
All right. Well, Chief Legal Analyst Khalif Rhodes weighing in on this. Of course, we have many of these instances that, again, they're all coming at you at once. So thank you for your insight into that.